I don't think so in terms of the economy. Until we start seeing a sustained economic and job recovery, and frankly even just job growth, I don't think we're in a position to be able to say we're out of the woods by any means. Our hotels, fortunately, are out of the woods in terms of the steep, double-digit declines that we've seen over the last 18 to 24 months. So that's positive that we've at least leveled off, and in most cases are seeing moderate occupancy growth. But until we see the economy lead and produce the jobs that we keep hearing about, I don't think that it's fair to say that we're out of the woods yet.
We're not out of the woods. The distance between the trees is, however, getting wider, so there is some daylight ahead. We remain very concerned about a number of things with respect to the national economy, most notably the headwinds that we're facing now as we go into the new year with respect to impending tax legislation and the uncertainty around that legislation. Very concerned about the level of jobs growth. While it is moving into positive territory, it's certainly not anywhere near historic long-run averages. And we do know that changes in total employment are very good indicators of changes in the demand for hotel rooms. And so until we see more robust job growth, we remain somewhat cautious about the magnitude of lodging demand growth and therefore the pace and magnitude of the recovery as it continues ahead.
I don't believe the definition out of the woods is going to work for us anymore. I believe that we have a new reality we need to deal with, and that it is going to be a slow recovery, and that we're going to adapt accordingly, as this industry always had in every recession. We come out of it, we adapt, and we move on and develop hotels, and that's what we will do this time, but it will take a while.
I think we've seen the worst of it. I don't know that we're completely out of the woods. I think there's still a long way to go to get to some level of reasonable recovery, but we certainly have been through the worst time periods where demand has recovered, pricing is coming back in some markets. I do think that we still have to stay very focused on corporate earnings and performance over the next 6 months. I think there's a risk that companies will look at travel budgets again and reduce them in the future if they don't start to see some meaningful recovery in their own earnings stream.
We're seeing increases today and looking into 11. Occupancies are going up, transient rates are coming back, our food and beverage is coming back revenue-wise. We're still not projecting a large increase in 11, so we're keeping close tabs on operations, not hiring a lot of people back yet. So we're still right in the middle of where we think it's coming back. The urban cities are slowly rebounding. Conventions are coming, but they're all in 2012. So 2011 is kind of an off convention year as well. So to answer your question, I think it's slow. We're more focused on 2012.
I think we still have a little bit more pain forthcoming. I tend to be a real optimistic guy, but when you look at some of the, not just the national unemployment issues and concerns, but also the worldwide concerns with the euro, I think there's still a little bit more pain coming.
No, we're not, and it's probably going to take at least another year and a half or two. Instead of the trajectory of a really growth period, I think it's going to be stair-step cases of growth, to get out.
You can look at it in several ways, and our particular take on it is we'd like to believe that we've touched bottom and that we continue to improve, and we're seeing it in the RevPAR statistics. But at the same time, it's important to get meaningful growth in the employment sector, because growth in the employment sector is going to allow us to continue to increase pricing. And so until we see the employment rates start to come down somewhat and meaningful consumer spending, we're going to pretty much hold things pretty tight to the vest, and we're going to continue the same policies we have over the last 18 months.
I think we're on the way. We are seeing at Carlson RevPAR growth for the first time in a while. July in particular was a very strong month for our hotels. So I do think that we're emerging from the woods.
No, not at all. We've got a long ways to go yet. It seems like we're going to be into a double-dip recession, and it's going to take another 24 months before we're out of the woods.
That's a hard question to answer because right now there's absolutely no change in the lender's interest in lending for development projects. Our discussions with the lenders that we've had, even within the last 60 days, the responses from them that we're getting are the exact same responses we received from them 24 months ago. So while there's certain things that appear to be moving forward in the right direction, like I just mentioned, occupancy growth, et cetera, from a lender's perspective, they literally are rolling their eyes when you mention development because the feeling is why would you even consider something like that? And they are much more focused on trying to help clients refinance and deal with crisis situations as opposed to maybe focusing on a new development. So I don't see development coming back anywhere near the levels it was prior to 2007 for the midterm, meaning 3 to 5 years, and I certainly don't see any moderate development coming back of any real substance in the next 12 to 18 months. I just don't see the lending or the debt financing available to which is needed, in my opinion, to create that momentum.
We can see far into the future. I'm not sure we can see quite that far in terms of when meaningful new development will start occurring once again. If we want to define meaningful new development as, say, long-run average levels, it's hard to see that coming back until really 2012, 2013 as realistic dates on that. I think one of the key reasons for that is we look across markets, we look at property values today and frankly where we think they'll be over the next 1 to 2 years, they're still going to be well below replacement costs. So until we can see those two metrics come together, we don't expect to see significant levels of new construction domestically.
I think that meaningful development is really going to be picking up probably 2011, mid-year. I believe that the supply-demand ratio right now is going to dictate that we need to get new hotels into the system, and that I hope, and this is a strong hope, is that the banking industry will become more realistic in how they deploy their credit.
I think it's going to be a while before we see meaningful development coming back. I think you'll start to see some redevelopment. I think there's going to be a lot of work done on existing product. I think there'll be a real focus on sites that are well located, that have gotten aged or gotten a little tired, maybe less relevant than they need to be. I think the redevelopment process is going to be one that we'll start to see getting fairly active later this year into early next year. Actual new development and developing new sites, I think we're 2 to 3 years away before we really see that starting to take off. Obviously, the lending community has to cooperate. You really have to see demand recover significantly. You just don't have the demand for new development when you have occupancies hovering in the mid-50s on a national basis.
We're really looking currently at development projects. You can get easier financing, lots of government incentives, your tax credits. So depending on where you are in what market, what cities, it's way more attractive to us to look at construction deals, low construction costs, knowing that they're going to open in 2012 to 2013, where we expect everything to have rebounded pretty substantially. We're looking for management contracts, but until some really good assets come online, those aren't the best ones really that fit Magnolia as well. So we're pretty focused on development projects at this point.
We actually have 2 properties under construction, another 2 under development. The key has been financing. I think that there's going to be some improvements in 2011 and 2012 to that end. It's been a mixed blessing for us with the industry. With limited new supply, we've been able to grow our occupancies a little faster than maybe we would have otherwise.
We're in a cryogenic freeze for development right now, and I think it's not going to happen until 2012 to 2013.
Development should begin sometime towards the end of 2011, probably 2012. A lot of that, most all of it, is going to be determined by the banks, and when they start seeing strength in the economy and meaningful increases in occupancy. And it's, again, going to be held, I believe, by regional banks, who are the ones that generally start this type of trend. And then the big money center banks will eventually follow on, probably around 2013, 2014.
And I think there'll be a significant amount of development activity surrounding the distressed assets in our industry getting fleshed out. And as soon as those are dealt with, I do see some new construction opportunities beginning the early part of next year.
I don't see meaningful development picking up until 2012, 13, somewhere in that time frame. It's going to be a tough road to see any new development for new construction. No financing available, and doesn't look like there's any signs of new financing coming to the horizon.